Welcome back, everyone, and you'll be excited to know this is the last video I am going to share with you for the semester. We're going to review the basic components of a lab report or scientific report and compare it to the components you will need to include in your usability report. I will be going through information you will learn from the scientific reports handout posted on Canvas and Wednesday's assigned reading on usability reports. First off, most of you have completed lab reports at this point in your academic career, so I'll be reviewing components of a lab report with which most of you are familiar. Lab reports share the findings of investigations that are performed on scientific hypotheses. People reading lab reports have two goals. They want to review the information that is presented, and they want to know that findings are legitimate. The format that scientists follow to fulfill their audience's goals follows a basic format. Lab reports usually include all or most of the following sections: an introduction, methods and materials, results, and a discussion section, or IMRD. And I see that I have a mistake here, so IMRD for short. The IMRD follows the scientific method but elaborates on the processes involved. While the introduction states the hypothesis, it also explains how the hypothesis was derived and how it connects to previous research. Also, an important element in this section is that the purpose of the experiment or study is included. Keep in mind that the hypothesis and purpose are not the same, but sometimes they are confused. In short, the hypothesis provides a basic indication of what the experiment will show, while the purpose is more broad and offers expectations of what is to be gained from the experiment. The example used in the reading shows the difference between the two. In a professional setting, the hypothesis might have something to do with how cells react to a certain kind of genetic manipulation, but the purpose of the experiment is to learn more about the potential that this study has to help cancer patients and help form new treatments for cancer patients. The methods section details how the hypothesis was tested and clarifies why the experiment or study was performed in a particular way. Remember that lab reports offer a method section so that the experiment can be reproduced. In order for findings to be verified, other researchers should be able to follow the same procedure and arrive at the same or similar results. An important note about this section is that results should not be included. Data is reserved for the results section, which leads us to the next slide. The results provides the raw, that is the uninterpreted data collected. This section might include tables, figures, images to present the data. This section provides the most critical information about the experiment that is presented as text, usually in a brief paragraph, and also includes tables and figures. Information that is included in the text should not be repeated in a table or figure. Tables and figures are good for some purposes and situations, but not others. Including tables and figures depends on what you need them to accomplish. In other words, you don't want your tables and figures to say the same thing that your text is stating. And if you want some clarification on this point, please read the scientific reports handout that is provided on Canvas. The discussion section contains several parts. As a general rule, the discussion section should explain whether the data supports the hypothesis, acknowledges any anomalous data or deviations from what was expected, derive conclusions based on the findings about the process, relate findings to earlier work if applicable, and explores the theoretical and/or practical implications of the findings. Okay, so now that we have covered the major components of lab reports, let's focus on how they relate to usability reports. specifically the usability report you are going to complete for assignment 4.2. After you conduct your usability test, you will have a pile of data. In a similar way that a lab report shares the findings of an experiment or study, your usability report will share your data to your client to help improve the design of their website. We did not review abstracts for lab reports, but some lab reports do include abstracts, and your usability report is required to include an abstract. Your abstract should only be one brief paragraph in length, telling your client what is included in the report, what the test performed was, and some key takeaways. The abstract should both serve the purpose of the lab report, summarizing the key takeaways, as well as the goal of informing the client on why you are giving them this report. And I should correct myself and say the abstract should both serve the purpose of the usability report, as well as the goal of informing the client on why you are giving them this report. So an effective usability report will have a clear focus and prioritize results. You will need to include an introduction in your usability report, which should include the singular focus of your study. This section offers your client an explanation of why a usability report was necessary, the processes involved in the usability test, who is being tested, and predictions that were made about the results of the test. In your procedure section, you will summarize your procedure and describe how the test played out. This is similar to the methods section of a lab report. This section should be detailed enough in case your client wants to repeat the test with a larger pool of users. This section should be written in the past tense, describe the protocol used, and include the full scenarios. Do not offer results in this section. You will offer results in the results section. Include key quotes in this section that were provided during the test, along with images from the website that illustrates what each quote is talking about. And you will have your research in the audio recording that you recorded while the usability test was being, while the participant was participating in the usability test, or you will have a screen recording of the user working through the process. So this is where you're going to get your key quotes from. Summarize important observations you made in this section. This assignment requires that you describe 3 major problems that need immediate fixing and 3 minor problems. Then in your discussion section, you will offer interpretation and analysis of your results. This section describes the most common errors that were made by the users and relates them back to the predictions that were made in the introduction. And when I say common errors, these are errors that you anticipated. In a real setting, there would be multiple participants that would be involved in the usability test, so there would be more data to work with. And so for this one, you're just getting your data from one participant. Prioritize the problems you identified and offer some possible solutions. This assignment requires that 3 quick fixes are provided for the 3 major problems that were identified. Finally, in your conclusion, you want to summarize your suggestions for the company. You might also recommend that they conduct more rounds of usability tests on other issues that you identified with a website. And basically, this section offers some recommendations that the client should keep in mind as they consider improving the website and consider continually improving the website. This report should offer them 3 quick fixes, identify the major problems, and then in your conclusions, then offer some follow-up recommendations of what they should concentrate on after they have fixed those major problems that this report identifies. So good luck in completing section 4.2. If you have any questions, please email me.